Because we're always telling each other that we should be different. Now, I'm not going to tell you that tonight. Why not? Because I know you can't. Nor can I. That may sound depressing, but I'll tell you it isn't. It's very hard. But everybody, you see, who is at all sensitive and awake to their own problems and human problems is trying to change himself. We know we can't change the world unless we change ourselves.
Good morning. Welcome everybody to today's live stream. I want to go to the mountains, so I'm going to make this nice and short. I'm just going to hide in the trees. Okay, here we go. So, this is one of the times where it's okay to make assumptions, in my opinion. Simply because you have profit ratio and you also have, a nice trend line. And really, if you're getting a flag this nicely formed, or you have swing highs, and of course the swing lows, you are at the, or rather have the liberty to take positions at each edge of the band. Right, so you can long at the bottom, short at the top. Of course, hindsight will always be 20/20. So let's not talk about previous ones and only talk about the current one. Yeah, you have every period on the CCI rolling down. That's really clean. And it does imply at least we might trend to the bottom of the bucket again. And hey, if it doesn't, cool, you'll stop out if we make a higher high. Also, this might just end up being an ascending triangle instead. I know we want to draw what we want to see. But there's also the problem of better shapes, which is part of the reason I don't use shapes, right? Because if we have a static trend line there, well then okay, then we obviously have higher to go. And of course we aren't going to know that until it actually forms. So really, shorting here isn't the best idea. Put it like that. I'll tell you where shorting is a good idea though. On the 4-hour pivot, right? Because if we take a look at the 220 period. Beautiful. That is our pivot for trend, really. And when you take a look at it up here and you have this nice red candle, it does look like a great short, doesn't it? It's really tempting, but really, shorting isn't gonna be a good idea until we break this pivot. Alright, because when that pivot's broken, then upward trend on Bitcoin will be over. And of course, the end of upward trend implies compression, and well, if our compression is defined in a range from 7,700 to 4,800, we'll probably get a few loop-de-loops here in the middle. But if you're in a compressionary range and you have very little upside and a lot of downside, then it is simply logical to bet that the downside is more probable. So, you can have your fingers crossed on that front. Really, I don't recommend a short position until that pivot's actually broken. Okay? Right, because on the 1-hour chart on yesterday's live stream, we actually talked about a really cool signal of net expansion to the downside. It was actually 2 streams ago, excuse me. Not that. This one. So we had conflicting signals. We had the net expansion to the downside on the 1-hour chart, which resulted in a brief downward volatility pop. If it loads. Yeah, there it is. All right, so we had the brief volatility pop to the downside. I know it's not much, but it was a signal and it worked. And then the other signal we had was we would get a bullish bounce on the longest over expanded period pivot. And that happened. Right? So we'll have to see what's stronger, the bearish expansion on the 1 hour chart or the 4 hour chart's trend defining pivot. Obviously, it was the trend defining pivot that was stronger because price did in fact recover from that downward expansion. So, with that in mind, that's pretty satisfying. I'm happy with this. Any kind of higher high would appear bullish, but I do want to point out something important. The frequency of fake outs in our breakout patterns on Bitcoin. The amount we make higher highs and then do the exact opposite is just insane. And this area right here comes to mind. Right, where you get these really clear and easily defined flags with a significant breakout, and then Bitcoin just does the exact opposite. And then lo and behold, we have a really nice, clear, and defined bear flag. Bitcoin has a breakout and then does the exact opposite. So fake outs are super common when trading cryptocurrency because it's a manipulated market, just kind of a fact of life. So really, you just gotta stay cozy. But will be nice is this pivot, because if we have a downward break here, that will be sustained and that will be defined. But if we have an upward break, oh, fake outs beware. Okay, so anything up here, don't short. Anything inside the band, do short. That's today's advice. Super happy to see BNB is doing well. I'm very happy with that. Finally got another higher high today, this morning. And that's good. We're aiming for a 28% upside since our trade entry at this location. And oh, do we hit our second take profit target today? Oh my god. Yes, we did. Right on the nose. That feels good. Nice work, guys. That was a very good call. 30% upside certainly makes up for a 4% stop loss. Am I right? Anyway. What's kind of cool is that this is still technically in a state of compression. So in theory, trend can still continue, which is pretty odd when you look at it. Because if we actually get a kind of net expansion here, trend could in theory continue. So all you people still holding BNB, no time to sell quite yet, even though it's hit its second target. I'd consider holding on to this for a bit longer. Of course, do use a trailing stop just in case. All right, Trading View folks, I hope this was informative. You have a beautiful day. Here you go. Super. And GXS is volatile as hell. It's super tempting to scalp this, isn't it? Actually, you know what? A great way to buy these kind of pump and dump things is buy on a higher high. So we get these kind of parabolic. You can reliably bet that you'll get trend continuation, albeit briefly. However, brief trend continuous, I'll consider a long. Ooh, I was looking at Yo-Yo. Glad I didn't pull that trigger. This had a serious chance of going parabolic as well. And it didn't. So, luck of the draw. I didn't draw that one. That's good. And we're going to take a look at XRP, I said. XRP is just in a pretty big state of compression. Any kind of breakout here is going to react very strongly. Of course, this trend is still defined as down on the 4 hour, but the mean reversion pivots have been crossed in the higher time frames. So it is worth considering bullish positions. You're just going to need to deeply layer into them because of the slope of probability volatility on those longest over expanded periods. And then I said one other coin, GRS. GXS and Litecoin. Let's check it out. If it loads. Facebook's global coin to release before 2020. God damn, that's terrifying. This isn't loading. I'm gonna say enter though. Joke's on you. Hey man, good catch. Take a look at the 350 period here. This could be really nice. Yeah, that mean inversion pivot's respected, but if we get a new high here, it's really volatile. Like this tiny little range down here, it's 8%. Yeah, if we get a higher high, I might consider a long on this because it's super compressed in the shorter periods and is ready for upward expansion. I might actually just call this now. It's clean. Because profit ratio is good here because of the trend continuation to the downside is only 7%. So great catch, I might call this. And then Litecoin, LTC, BTC. To my understanding, Litecoin's longest over expanded period on the daily chart should be 250. So we have lateral trading as defined by the longest over expanded period. I recently took profit on my Litecoin short, but I'll show you what this looks like, okay? It is implied when price re-entered this band that we would retrace down to this mean. We are almost at that mean. So I think maybe a last slow trickle is possible, but lateral trading as defined by the longest over expanded period does imply we could just do this. So it's really not safe to enter anymore. Check the comments one last time, see if you guys want me to do anything. What's up, what's up, what's up, what's up, what's up? Excellent, I agree. We need some good fun news, you're absolutely right. That's all I gotta say. That's it. I'm done. Bye.